Hi, today I'm going to show you how to create a node and making that node domain controller. Go start, create new virtual machine, custom, nothing to change. I will install operating system later. Microsoft Windows Server 2016. Choose your own Windows Server version. Here I'm going to name domain. You can give any name. Domain control. Then I'm going to put in a specific folder that I choose. Right here, right inside here. I want to create a new folder here. Domain con. Right there. Next, choose BIOS. Next, you can go with the default. You can go with the default. This is the memory. Choose the network bridge. We need a bridge network for domain controller. This is default. SCSI default. Create a new virtual disk. That's what we create. Here I have scarcity of resource. I'm going to put 25. I don't want to allocate right now. Allocate all disk space now. I don't want to. Store virtual disk as a single file. Finish. This is how to create a node. Now we have to add the operating system. Operating system, go to this one. You can go to the edit virtual machine or right click on the name of the name of the node and go to setting anyway. By any means, go to setting and add the operating system. I have ISO file. Browse the ISO file. I have under download. This is my ISO file, Windows Server 2016 data center. That's evaluation free for 180. Then okay. Now you can start the power on. It will reboot from the BIOS. Okay, it may take a little while. Let's see. Now choose English if you are English users, and choose the language anyway. This is just very much the default where you stay, where you live. Next, install now. choose the fourth option, that is Windows Server 2016 data evaluation. You can see this one, desktop experience. Then I choose that part. The next. Accept the license agreement. Next. Choose custom install window only. This is about partition. You don't have to partition your disk, new partition or something. It's very much talking about the disk. Next. Now it's going to take some time, so I'm going to pause here and come back after it's complete. Okay, the installation almost finalized. Do not interrupt while it is installing and rebooting. Just wait until you get this window. Now I'm going to create a new password here. Confirm that password. Finish. Here you go. Your computer is built up. Now we can log in and configure the local server. The first time you log in, you just created the password. Use that password to log in. Usually it takes 10 to 20 minutes to install your operating system. It depends on the specification of your computer, basically. So now, I don't choose to reconnect my computer with the network, just no. Okay, this is the basic window that started after you install the Windows Server operating system. So now you have to follow those steps to finalize the result of your domain controller and communicating with other nodes. Now our intention is to create a domain controller, but on the way, it is the same to create a node. Just the difference is I will show you. Okay, first configure the local server. Now we're going to configure the local server. Okay, I'm starting with turning off window firewall. Turning off window firewall. Don't ask me why, go figure out. Okay. Then go to search button, user control. User control access, you have to turn it off. It's not recommended, but you have to turn it off to connect your clusters. Then configure network, the same search button, network. View network connection. Then right click, property, Internet Protocol version 4 property, put your static IP address. Use the following IP address. This is a static IP address. So I am going to use this IP address for my node 100. Default gateway 192.168. You can use any, but I am using this. Preferred DNS. This is a, I'm planning to make this node as a domain controller, so I have to use this IP address, which is different from the other nodes. Okay, close, done. If, okay, I create the IP address, it is gonna refresh. I turn it off the firewall. I turn it off the user control, plus, let's maximize this one, plus you can change the time zone. This is just to make equal time with your zone. I'm gonna go to change the time zone, date and time. You know how to change the time zone. Just go ahead. I'm in East Coast. Yes, this one is Central Time, yes, and this is my time zone. I changed it, it is 418, though with my computer is 418 too. Now I have to change the computer name. I want to name with my company's computer name, the corporation, depend on which company you work. I'm going to use the domain control. You can give any name as much as you're comfortable with it. I'm going to restart when I say OK. I have to choose OK. I want to close. I'm done with this one. Restart now. The computer is restarting until it come back. I'm going to pause. Okay. The computer restarted. Log in. Start in Server Manager. Okay. I'm done configuring with the local server. This is common for all nodes that you create. Still now, there is no difference. But now I'm going to add some roles. Those roles are different for domain controller and simple node. This is step number 2. Next. Next. Change the computer name, IP address, everything is good. Next. I have to add the Active Directory domain service because I'm going to use this as a domain controller. This is the only way differs from the other nodes. In the other nodes, we don't have to add Active Directory domain service. Add all features. The next, .NET, you have to add it because if you see, this one is not installed at all. Only 2 out of 7 are installed in this new version. So we have to include this one in your server. It can work, but you have to include for best result. Next. Next. Now install. Before that, most of the time, it may not get the exact location where those roles are written, or the resources of those roles. Basically, to install, you have to have the serial file. So I have to tell where it is in this one, where the files are. Go to your the domain local file explorer, open it, go to PC, go to the operating system, open it, go to sources, click SXS, then copy this address. We are telling our system to install from this one. I copy it, then right here path, use this path to install those roles that we, okay? Now install. It may take some time. I'm gonna pause it here. When it finishes, I will come back and continue the next step. Okay, it's complete. Usually it takes 5 to 10 minutes to complete this installation. Close. Now you see, guys, here in this flag, it shows you yellow. That means you have to promote the Active Directory from here. If you click that, it is telling you add the rules. You did it, it's complete. But here, post-deployment configure. Promote this server to domain controller. You have to promote from here. Click promote. Then put here anything that with .com or .anything. I usually choose, oh, sorry, before that you have to add a new first. Add new forest. Then put this name. I'm comfortable with this one, that's why I chose this one. The first time I saw how to install this, the guy was showing me with this name, that's why I follow that name all the time, but he can use different name. metamanager.com. Next. Right here, let it finish to initialize, but you have to add the password here. Usually it may take 2 or 3 minutes, but it depends on the computer specification usually. Okay, the password, any complex password. Then next, nothing to change here. Next, it will start by itself. NetBIOS will start the name that we put. Okay, after this name comes in, by itself. Next. We don't have to change anything here, just where the operating system is going to be installed, or the database that we are creating going to be there. Next. It's just showing you what you did. Just go next. Now it is verifying prerequisites for domain controller operation. It may take some minutes. I'm gonna pause you guys here. Okay, it's done. Everything is good. It's showing me a green button here. So I can start install. Now it is installing. It's gonna take some time too. Let's wait. Okay, when it complete, it's gonna show you guys this thing. It will restart by itself. This is creating the domain controller. After installing, it will automatically restart and change the setting to domain controller machine. Next, we will create one node and we're gonna try to connect that node with this domain controller. As you see, guys, it's applying all setting. Let's wait a little bit. It's gonna take some time. Okay, now it's complete, all set. Let's log in. You see, Meta Manager Administrator is the Meta Manager is the name of the corporation or the domain name. Administrator is my machine's name. I have to use the password of my machine, the first password, not the domain password. Okay. We did number 2. We're gonna add servers, but before that, I want to create a user. User means anyone who can log in this domain, like the administrator, you guys see. So now I'm going to create a user. To create user, go to tools. Since you have the Active Directory, go to Active Directory users and computers. The 5th option from top. Now, open this one. There are users here. Right click. Create new user. You can give any name. I'm going to put admin. Last name can make it cluster or cluster admin, either way. Then put here cluster admin. This is any name, that's any user. Cluster admin at metamanager.com. Next, new password. I use the same password. You can use different passwords. I don't need the user to change the password at the next login, but I need the password. I don't need the password to be expired. And user can change if he wants. Next. Finish. Oh, you have to use some complex password. That's what it means. Let me try this password. Use any complex password. Okay, now it is created. So now I want to add that user to the domain controller. To see the domain controller, you have domain admin, domain controllers. Domain controller has higher privilege, so right click that, go to property, click members, add a member, search that user, the new user that you create, cluster admin, check it, or you can add either way. It founds. Okay. Then, okay, we just add to the domain controller. Same thing you can add to domain admins. As an admin, it is not a big, that could not be important to you, but you can add it as administrator too. Cluster admin. Sometimes this has special privilege on creating always on listener object create. Okay. Okay, now we done. Okay, we create a user and we're going to switch with that user as a domain controller. Switch user. We're going to log in with that user, that means. Click other user. Cluster admin. Password. The complex password that you created. Next. I'm logging in as a cluster admin, which is the user I created right now. Okay. This user can do anything that the domain administrator can do. Okay. This is the local service, this is a local server. Everything is the same, even though I'm in different user, but the local server is the same. Nothing changed to it. So this is the domain administrator we just created. Now we need to have another node to communicate with this. I'm going to choose node 3, or you can create a new node if you want. Let's create a new node and you guys can have another explains how to create a node. Let's go ahead, create node. Same thing, custom, next. I'll install later, next, next. Here you can name node 4 and browse this one, put on a folder that you like. I'm gonna put this under the same folder with the other cluster nodes. Let's go ahead here, create node, create new folder, node 4, node 4. So create node 4, okay. Under other node 4, next. Don't forget to change this one. This have big cost if you don't change to BIOS. Default bridge, next, next, next. Create new, yes. Next, I don't have enough space. Let me give it 1. Store as virtual. I don't need to allocate now. You can read it. What does it mean? Allocate now or later. I'm always managing my space by allocating when I need it. Next, next. Here you can add a new network, which is a private network, heartbeat network. Nodes communicate through the heartbeat network between each other. We have already the public network bridge. So you can create here by customizing, or you can create it later. I'll show you. I'm going to create here, or I'm going to edit the machine, or I can go here, right click, go to setting. Either way you can use. So now I'm going to choose this one. You can add a network adapter, finish, then make it host. That is a private shared with the host. At the same time, I can add the operating system, the ISO file, same thing, the one that I did on the other node, the cluster domain. Browse it, go to download. Here is the operating system. Go ahead, okay. That's it, the node created. We just need to install the operating system. To install the operating system, just power on. Okay, finish. This will go all the way. I have another 4 more nodes. Domain cluster, node 1, node 2, node 3. This and this, those are not on right now. That's why they don't, that's why I can create more nodes. If I turn those on, the memory will not be enough to them. Plus my hard disk is small. That's why I did allocate later for the allocation of space. So I don't need to turn them on. If I turn them on, the resources will be diminished and I can't go further to create the nodes. Now, just next, install. This is the same way as the other node that I created. It will take some time, so I'm going to turn it off and come back. Okay, like what I said earlier, you have to choose the fourth option. Next. Accept. Obviously, you have to accept this one. Custom, not upgrade. Just next. Very simple. This is gonna take some time. So I'm gonna pause you guys here. When it finishes, we will come back. Okay, same thing like the first one. We have to create password, not for installation complete. Create password. It's best practice to create the same passwords because you guys may forget. But for security, it's not best practice. We create the password. Now we can log into Node 4 with our new password as administrator. There you go. I just turned off domain controller because to have enough resources for Node 4 to go faster. Later I will turn it on and connect them. The same way we have to configure Node 4 the local server. We have to configure the local server, then we're gonna add roles and we're gonna add server, this one, create server group. We don't need a server group here. I mean, we're gonna create a server group, but just connecting with domain controller. So let's go ahead. I'm maximizing this one. I'm gonna go ahead, configure the local server. Have two networks here because the domain has one network, but this one has two networks. I just create them, the public and the private. Let's go ahead with turning off firewall. Turn off firewall. This related with security issue, that's why we turned it off. Okay. Again, I have to go to user control. Turn this one off. This also related with security. It's not recommended, but we have to turn off to communicate or reconnect or connect our cluster nodes. Then the next one is network. I have this one network. See, I have two networks. This one is very much the public, that's the bridge network. Go to protocol version 4, property, static address. I'm going to give the same subnet, .168.1.100 is for domain and 101 is for this one. You can give any number, but you have to give them the same, under the same subnet, 192.168.1.1. This is the default. Now here is the difference. That one we use 127.0.0.1, but this one is referring the domain controller, so we have to give the same IP address as the domain controller. The IP address of the domain controller, 192.168.1.100. That is the IP address of the domain controller. Okay, close. And the private network, which is not necessary, but we use on the latest versions, it is not important. Next. Here the same subnet 192.168.2, that's network on subnet 2.11. That's what I choose. I think it is better to say yeah, 11. Here is automatic. Go ahead, close. The third one is we turn off the name of the computer. Okay, we're done with this one, with the control panel. Okay, let's refresh, turn it off. Okay, the address is perfect. Now we can change the time zone. Time zone, I'm in central. Okay. Central, this one. Yes, that's my time zone. Next, we have to change the name of the computer to node 4. Okay, this one will restart the computer. Changing name will restart the computer, and we're gonna start to reconnect. Close, restart now. We're gonna connect with the domain controller, so now I'm gonna turn this one on. Most of the time, static and dynamic connection may conflict each other, so we can have some problems. We may face some problems to connect the domain controller and node 4, but there is a way to solve that problem. Okay, I'm gonna log in on node 4. Yep, this one is starting. That's the domain controller, and this one is the other node. So now we're gonna check if everything is set and ready to reconnect. But before that, I have to add some roles. Add some roles which make different from this one. We add on domain controllers the Active Directory service, but here we don't need that. Let's go ahead, add the features and roles, same node 4. Okay, if you remember guys, in domain controller, we add Active Directory domain services, but here we don't need that. Here we need this one and failover cluster. add, next. Now the same thing, I have to give the path. The path is right there. Go ahead, open this one, open resource. SXS, that is the address of my operating system. Copy, close this one, and specify an alternate source path. Just here, paste, OK. Now we can go ahead and install that. This may take some time, so I'm going to pause it here. But before that, I'm going to log into this one and get ready to reconnect. This one is admin cluster, the new user. Yes, I use this password. Great. It is on progress. Let's wait till it's complete. We almost done. Okay, adding features is done with Node 4, the failover cluster and the .NET framework. Close. Now we can go ahead to the local server and add other servers to manage. We're going to add this server to domain controller. To do that, we have to come here and create the work group. Right now, I'm adding this node to domain controller. It used to be work group as work group. Now it's going to be changed to domain controller. Our domain controller name is Meta Manager.com. Okay. Usually this can happen. This is the confusion with the static and the dynamic network. So I'm going to turn off my Wi-Fi, but before that, I'm going to finalize this here, and I will continue with connected Node 4 to the Meta Manager.